Hey everybody, welcome to Move, Crush, Count, a podcast produced by J&L Marketing. The title of today's interview is How to Successfully Take Your Business to the Next Level Like a Pro. All right, my name is Scott Joseph, and today I am talking with Anthony Demonte. And Anthony's the president of Demonte Motorsports. He's also the CEO of Skip Barber Racing School, I should say.
Yep.
So welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. Anthony has graciously agreed to do this interview so he can share his knowledge and his experience on how he successfully took what I'll call once very proud brand and company in Skip Barber Racing, filed bankruptcy in 2017.
Yep.
Demonte Motorsports takes it over in, I think, December of 2017.
That is correct.
All right. Completely turned it around. It's now thriving.
Yes.
All right. And so anytime something like that happens, I want to find out how. Because I think there's a lot of business leaders out there that potentially either want to turn around their business or need to. But a lot of times the same principles that you applied to do this and accomplish this feat, which is no easy task, can help us also even if the businesses that are doing well and want to elevate or take it to the next level. So we're going to talk specifically about that. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
All right. So welcome again, and we'll jump right in. So first set of questions is, I really just want to get an idea who you are. I want the audience to understand your background, your education level. I know a little bit about your story, and so I think it's pretty impressive. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, just grew up in Long Island.
Yeah.
Don't have much education.
Yeah.
I got educated.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I got my education on the streets of New York City as a New York City police officer.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, right here on the Lower East Side. Back in 1990, I started, and came from a car family. My father was a big-time drag racer back in the 60s, and I'm one of 7. So as the youngest boy, I had to do more than anybody else in the family, and took racing to the next level.
All right, so that would have been my first thought is, all right, how does a police officer get into racing? But it was in your family.
It was in my family, yeah.
All right, and so what happened for you? Where was that switch for you? Why leave the police force to do that? Besides it obviously being
I actually started out in racing before being a police officer. When I was 18, I went up to Canada, got my license, my race license up in Canada, and it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Hands down, I wanted to be a race car driver. My father took me to the side and said, why don't you have your benefits and get a good job, and then you can become whatever you want from there.
Yeah.
So I did. I took the New York City police test, got hired in 1990, and continued to pursue my career, what I felt was my passion, to be a race car driver.
So you get out of the police force, and is that when you started Demonte Motorsports?
No, I started Demonte Motorsports in 1999.
Okay.
But I never left the police department. I stayed there for 20 years.
Nice.
And simultaneously pursued my career as a race car driver.
Okay. So you start Demonte Racing. Walk us through that. What's the history of that? What exactly do they do? So the audience gets a better feel for that.
So Demonte Motorsports, as I was progressing in the racing industry, what I found was it was very hard to be at anybody's mercy. So if I wrecked a car, I broke something, or something happened where I needed more crew, I'd have to rely on other people. So in 96, 97, I started racing in World Challenge, which is a professional SCCA pro racing. And I needed that I didn't want to have to be held by anybody else's mercy. So I needed that little push that would put us above everybody else. When guys were going to the racetrack, I didn't have to worry about, was there a volunteer? Was there anybody there? So we opened up Demonte Motorsports. And we started basically building our own race cars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we started doing support for other teams, and we started building our own race cars. And that just gave us a leg up at that time.
All right. And so, I want to jump into, because I think the focus of this interview and what makes this so impressive is what you did with Skip Barber. Can you walk us through where they were, what possibly caused them to kind of collapse down into the bankruptcy, and then we'll get into specifics on how you turned it around, but walk through just up until you purchased that.
So Skip Barber is formed in 1975 from Skip Barber the Man.
Yeah.
Super talented guy. Went to Harvard and raced in Formula One. Probably the only person to ever do that.
I was going to say,
so,
how many Harvard
graduates? Yeah, I don't think there are any. None that we know of, anyway.
All right.
Super great guy. Has been super helpful with us, as a matter of fact. Ended up selling it in 2000.
Okay.
Did very well with it. It was by far the largest racing school and racing event business in the country.
And if I understand that, they've produced a winner in every major race has come out of the school.
7 different sanctioning bodies, okay. I believe 25 championships. 1/3 of the Indy 500 starting field for the last 25 years, it's actually 40% of it, is a Skip Barber graduate.
So great brand.
Unbelievable.
All right. Obviously good products, it's producing results. Why did it fail?
It's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
You know, if
you weren't there at that time.
I was not there at the time, but believe it or not, the most prominent people that have had a very big part of the success of this brand still work for me.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They really, really are amazing. So it's hard. You know, everybody has their opinion. The downturn in the economy could have been something in 2008, 2009.
All right.
I could have helped it up, but still, you know, they were doing quite a bit of money back then. But you don't know. You know, you never want to point a finger at anybody.
Right.
And you obviously, we have a lot of the data going back because we have everything from all the intellectual property. But we can never point a finger. You know, it happened. I know I can say maybe it got stale. Yeah,
and so what you wanted, what attracted you to it when they filed bankruptcy?
So, previous to that, we were running our own school in the Northeast out of New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Yeah.
So we were running our own driving school. I wanted to expand. I retired from the police department in 2010, and I wanted to expand. If I spent $5 million a year on advertising and marketing, I would not have even come close to the power of the brand of Skip Barber. So we knew that they were having some trouble, and we started negotiating a little bit to see if we could do something together.
Did you start this process, the negotiation process for them, before or after the bankruptcy?
Before.
Okay, so you already were...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were already eyeing it. We knew that they were on the, I'm going to say, that last leg. Well, they had some difficulties.
Right.
And it was time for a reorg for them.
Yep.
So, to my chagrin, my lawyer said, you know, you're going to have to let this thing go through bankruptcy because there's just too many skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
So we did, and we ended up getting it through, somebody else had purchased it through the bankruptcy, and then we purchased through that gentleman after the bankruptcy.
Okay.
And I knew the brand was super, super powerful. My oldest brother went to Skip Barber. Our best friends went to Skip Barber. Anybody you ever spoke to, if you asked them if they knew who Demonte Motorsports were, 1 out of 10 people may, and if you were in the Northeast. If you asked them who Skip Barber was, 8 out of the 10 people would know. Yeah. Not even a question.
And I would say even for the people out there that maybe don't pay attention to racing and think, you still, if someone was to say the name, they would maybe not know why they've heard of it, but they've heard it.
Sure, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I mean, if you look at the refrigerator of Jerry Seinfeld, there's a Skip Barber sticker on it, on 80% of the episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he went through the school.
I'm going to have to go back and look at those now.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And there's a huge amount of, obviously, Jerry Seinfeld fans out there, right?
Yeah.
So that was just, that sticker got put on there because he asked for a hat, and in exchange for the hat, he said, I'll put a sticker on the refrigerator.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a good story. What? Let me ask you. So you buy it. Now it's yours.
Yep.
All the bad that took it down, and all the potential good that where it can go to, right?
Sure.
So in your turnaround process, what were some of the initial roadblocks that you faced to get it going?
Initially, some nasty customers that lost quite a bit of money. There was
how does a customer lose money in a school?
Because they were big into before I owned it, they were big into discounting and selling gift certificates, and they would sell programs and gift certificates at high rate of at a high discount.
Okay.
For future programs, and a lot of people lost their money. And towards the
because they went bankrupt.
Because they went bankrupt,
okay.
and towards the end, they would schedule schools and then they would cancel them because of enrollment or for whatever reason.
Okay.
And so there was about $3.7 million in bad, basically credits.
Okay.
So the first
how much?
$3.7 million.
It's a big number.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
So what we figured, as I sat down, I said, how am I going to justify to these people that I'm going to bring in this new regime, this new management team, and basically just not give them anything in return? Now, we're bootstrapping this. We have a couple of minor investors. It's not like we had millions of dollars behind us, but I had to make good with the past clients. So what I did is I offered an incentive that I would give you back every dime of your lost monies over a period of time if you came and became a customer again. And I did that.
So first off, we're going to have another segment here in the future, and we'll just title the show How to Win at Customer Retention. All right? But there's a lot of, the more I talk to you, I've got a theme for how I want this to go, right? And all of a sudden the light bulbs are going off in my head, one on the customer retention side. But the second is, it also sounds like when you take over a situation like this and you have to bring in new management, you have to reorganize, and you have to take it in a different direction, it's not too unfamiliar when companies merge or anything like that,
Sure.
or pivot. And next thing you know, you're integrating a lot of change into an organization, right?
Sure.
And that can have its own set of challenges.
And it did.
And so I want to stay focused on here, but we're going to invite you back at some point and see if we can tackle that too, because I think that's awesome. But either way, these challenges, it doesn't matter if you're trying to get to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're trying to turn around. They're all there.
Sure.
And so, all right, so you've got this 3.7.
So we go back. So we take the company over in December 19th of 2017. And the first thing we do is we went to the major trade show in the industry. It's called Performance Racing Industry out in Indiana. And we had to get a feel for what the industry itself is feeling. And we had nothing but support. We had nothing but people lining up at our booth to say, I'm there for you. Whatever you need. It was really good. It was important to us. It built a little bit of confidence right out of the box for us. So we went back. We gave all these past clients or alumni a chance to get their money back.
Yeah.
And we devised it in a way where we wouldn't kill ourselves. And we devised it in a way, but in the end, they got 100% of their refunds.
Okay.
Which
did they refund or take it up on new?
We took in new classes.
Okay, good.
So we would give them basically credits to what they, and we were relatively lax about it.
Yeah.
If it was ever gray, we just did the right thing.
Yes.
It was important for me to show the world that this is not only a business, this is my passion, and this brand is important to our society.
Well, you had to reestablish the confidence from your current and past,
without a doubt,
and future clients.
Without a doubt. In the beginning, we took some nasty phone calls.
Yeah.
And we turned them around. And to my sales staff, to my C-suite guys, to the instructors, they were all behind getting this thing back together. And
were you, when you bought this and you see this $3.7 million challenge, were you out there thinking, all right, were you fielding calls and angry complaints? People knew that new management took over, or were you reaching out proactively to these people?
Oh, no, we reached out proactively.
And see, what I love about that is, in my own business, I can't stand when a customer finds a problem or a mistake or a bug before we find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they call you, and you want to do this as quick. You want to make it as painless and as quick and come to a resolution as quick and easy as possible.
Sure.
But it's always better when you find the problem first, right? And you do what you did, when you're proactive in reaching out, because then on the other end, the business isn't sitting there, your customer's not sitting there thinking, well, they're only doing this because I called and bitched and complained or doing whatever. They know you're doing it, and it's easier to elevate yourself and turn something very negative into a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. We are extremely proactive. Being at since we've signed on the dotted line for this company, I've been at every event.
Yeah.
Firsthand, understanding what the needs of the clients are.
So you're present.
Every day.
We interviewed Corky Taylor, who's the CEO and president of Kentucky Peerless Distilling. So I went on, and before we interviewed him, I went on and looked at some of the reviews and things such as that. And one of the reviews really stood out to me because he's all about customer experience. I mean, they've got to sell their story and create a great experience because that's a crowded marketplace.
Sure.
And one of the reviews stood out to me because the woman that wrote the review just said, wow, we were on tour and Corky Taylor was there. I think that was the headline. Corky Taylor, he interrupted the tour and took it over. and so, but that's how he does it too. And so what I found in these interviews is that the most successful business leaders and businesses have people that are present and in front and talking to customers, and they have a good feel for what's going on. All right, so that's a big challenge to overcome early. All right. How long did it take you to get through that 3.7?
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Nope.
No, it's good. Quick. What types of tools or resources did you use early on to help you kind of turn this thing around? You went to the trade show.
Wow, we've been trade shows. Every major car show we've been to, we do any major competitive automotive event in the country, we are there. And if we're not there with a booth, we're there boots on the ground. Yeah. And it's all about meeting people, greeting people. The brand is so strong, it really gets us in the door. When we travel, it's so important that my guys are looking sharp, in uniform, and get involved, get in the mix, because everybody recognizes the brand, and everybody wants to see it succeed, because it's a generational thing, and especially now grandfathers are going with sons and grandsons now, because there's only one other thing you can do with 3 generations, and that's play golf. Yeah. Sometimes you get too old. Everybody drives basically from the time you're 16 till you die, right? Yep. This is what we do.
Some shouldn't be until they die.
Until we teach them better.
Yeah.
But we're working hard to just be every place that we can be as professional as we can be.
Okay, that's awesome. What So I still find it amazing. All right, and I'm. If I'm in my audience, I'm sitting there thinking, and I don't want this to come across wrong. I'm like, he's a police officer. How in the hell did he learn all this business stuff? Did you have early mentors? Did you have any formal education or background on that? So it's all on the job training.
I got 3 older brothers.
Okay.
And I got a father who's probably one of the best guys you'll ever meet, who can keep people happy and do the right thing. So, do you have core values? Oh, what I base my whole life on.
All right, what are those?
Just do the right thing.
Yep.
Be upstanding and work hard.
All right. So, my thing with no formal business education, but everything you do is based on that. And the reason I'm asking this question is you've got 2 very successful businesses here. And so, it's not common for that to happen.
Right.
Because there are all kinds of people with all kinds of business degrees and all kinds of formal education that start up things and fail at a high failure, high rate.
Well, we're fortunate to surround yourself. I have 6 siblings. 5 of them work with me.
So when you say you have 3 older brothers, what did they teach you?
It's mostly hard work.
Yeah.
And I've been
That's a common.
my brother Dan, who's my partner and my CMO. We've been working together since I'm 13 years old. He owned a pool cleaning service.
All right.
That put him through college and got him on his way. And I worked with him since I was 13. And just to see how hard he worked, and there was never a day of rest. I followed suit. Yeah. It's very important to me.
Yeah, that's another thing. As I interview these people, doesn't matter what their background is, just the hard work, the drive, strong amount of passion to do what they have seems to overcome a lot. And so I think what you've accomplished is unbelievable. More importantly, I think what you've accomplished in a very quick turnaround, because you bought this in December 17, so we're not even talking but a little over 2 years here. And to see that type of turnaround that fast, you obviously know what the hell you're doing. So
well, we try, and again, it's hard work, and I make mistakes as many as anybody else. We just try and limit them, and we learn from them.
So in this 2-year window? All right, you're obviously trying to turn this thing quick. You did the 3.7. You got that process. It took you about 18 months to get through that. What was your first major breakthrough where all of a sudden things started to click?
I think that as we hired people to do more specific jobs than, hiring our COO. He was the operations guy. He was the bookkeeper. He was the marketing guy. As we started really narrowing it down and tightening people's responsibility, under our direction and perseverance, those guys really started concentrating on what their specific jobs were. Yeah. And I think that's what really started turning us around. We're 15 employees now, and it's nice to have somebody more focused on something, or a much narrower focus.
What's their niche?
Than a broader focus.
Yeah, it's their level of expertise.
And they all did a great job when they had 50 things to do. They're just doing an unbelievable job now because we're putting them where their skills benefit us the best.
Did you jump to that before and have faith in that process before it started doing very well? Or did you wait till, all right, now that we're doing this?
No, we took a leap of faith in a few situations, and we made the investment in certain people, and it paid off.
That's the one thing I love about entrepreneurs is it takes guts, and you have to assume a lot of risk.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I love that. Let's go back to Demonte Racing real quick, or Motorsports. How long did it take you to get that successful? So you come out of the police force, you're racing, then you start the Motorsports company. So how long did that take before that started rolling?
So I actually was in business prior to 11 years prior to retiring from the police department.
Yeah.
It was a challenge because it wasn't my true focus at that point, because here I am. It was more of a support thing for my racing, and then I was still a police officer. And I worked in a busy area. I worked up in Washington Heights, so a lot of the time was taken from that. And again, just there are some very good people around me that helped me run that business, and we did well with it.
Is there any type of story or example that you want to share that kind of sums up your early experiences with either Skip Barber Racing or Demonte Motorsports in terms of taking it to the next level that we haven't covered so far?
No, I mean, I the single biggest thing I could say is you've got to pull your pants up at 4 a.m. every day. Yeah. And be ready to work until 3:59 a.m. the next day. Yeah. That's what we do.
I don't get up quite that early.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my wife and I worked the midnight tour for a very long time in each of our career.
But I'm up late.
So we have no clock. It's very, very odd.
I think a lot of people that start out have this fantasy. I can wake up at a normal hour. When I own my own business, I get to kind of come and go as I please. And so to that extent, that's true. But you're always working.
Sure.
And just because you might show up a little bit later or whatever, a lot of people don't see that you're up till 1, 2, 3 in the morning finishing stuff that has to get done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to sleep.
Yeah.
And you know when that is.
That's exactly right. That comes from the movie Roadhouse.
There you go.
So let's switch gears. What I want to do now is I want you, with all your knowledge and experience today, because this is the segment I think that'll help the audience the most. With all your knowledge and experience that you've got up to this point, you went through all these different challenges with both companies, all right? You've overcome and are succeeding at a high level. We can always look back and say, you know what? If I had just done this, I would have gotten from point A to point B a lot faster and more profitable. All right? So if you could start over today, whether it's Skip Barber or Demonte Motorsports, what would you do differently? What would you do more of the same? You know, is there things you could have done faster? Right? Just in a perfect world, what would happen?
If I would
taking everything you know now.
If I would look back and do it over. I think it would probably be more focused on one single thing, whether it's the race shop, it's the racing, it's the police department. You know, these are three things that I spread myself probably a little too thin.
Yeah.
And if I were to look back at this point, one thing over the last few years is that really been able to concentrate on Skip Barber Racing School and nothing else.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part, because even when you're in business, and let's say you're there finding your niche and really honing in and becoming great at that, great at marketing yourself to that, great at developing products and or services to that niche, I think that follows the exact same advice that you're talking about there.
Sure.
So, where should business leaders focus their efforts if they want to succeed? What advice would you give to them if they want to succeed both short-term and long-term?
Just have a clear path.
So I'm new.
Yeah.
I'm like saying, Anthony, I'm getting ready to start a business, right? I need your advice. You've run 2 successful ones. What's going to help me now and long-term?
Know where you want to go and know where you want to be.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have what your end goal is and what your focus is. If you keep focused, and we hear this all the time. It's so cliche. If you work hard enough, everything will come your way. And we know that's not true because circumstances. It could be economy, it could be a little bit of luck, it could be a little bit of economy, it could be anything. And things are the stars are aligning for us now. It's the doors and the opportunities that we have now. If we don't kick them open and jump through them, then it's our fault. It's no other excuse.
Yeah, and I love hearing that too, because for everybody listen, and most of the people listening probably understand this, but the people who fail tend to have a lot of excuses as to why. This didn't work out right, that didn't work out right, but what you're saying here is you got to own it. And there is no, I love how you take accountability for yourself and you say, if we don't succeed, it's on us.
100%. There's not even a question.
Yeah. Any tips for, one of the challenges I see a lot of business leaders have today is they're pulled, and you even just said this actually, you wish you could have focused in on one singular area, right? I think one of the challenges a lot of business leaders have today is they're pulled in so many different directions.
Yes.
What advice would you have from a time management standpoint when it comes to quickly improving a business? So you got these 3 things.
Yeah.
All right. What's helped you? How would you manage your time better to keep your focus simple and singular?
You got to trust the people around you.
Yeah.
You really do, and you have to make sure that you allocate their time simultaneously to yours, so everybody's in their wheelhouse. And if you can give the reins a little bit, sometimes it gives you a little more time to focus on what you're good at.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that goes back to, we cover a lot of different podcasts. Good friend of both of ours, Sandy Cerami.
Sure.
Right. Spends a lot of time when it comes to building. He's got a blueprint for building a killer culture. And a lot of that time is focused on hiring the right team, hiring the right people. And so it's hard to trust if you have the wrong people.
You know what? Every day and every event that we go to, it's I feel that every one of these guys do is a direct reflection on me.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important for me to make sure that they know my core goals and morals, especially. Communication. It's tough for people to communicate in any situation, and it's extremely, extremely important. The constant communication, not only to your clients but to each other, to the goals of what we're trying to accomplish.
So let's stay on this for a little bit. Earlier, you said that you were able to retain some really great people at Skip Barber. Let's talk a little bit about who they are, what makes them great, and how they possibly are helping or elevate the culture now.
So two of our main guys, Terry Earwood and Bruce McGinnis, they've been around just about from the beginning. Bruce McGinnis literally has been around since 1975. Just an outstanding gentleman. Knows his craft, is by far the best than anybody else, him and Terry Earwood. They're unbelievable legends. If anybody ever went to Skip Barber, they've heard of them. And if they haven't heard of them, they have no idea what a race car is. Or anything else in between. It's tough because they're set in their ways. And here I come in with, to them, very little experience. And it's a work in progress of trying to gain their trust.
Yeah.
Trying to let them know that this is not the old Skip Barber. We're here and their customer service is outstanding. They actually truly give a shit about the client, which is almost impossible. Sometimes a little more difficult for me because I got to worry about business and economics, and they worry about the client.
It's so important to have people you work with that you can trust that have that value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, and when we sat down and we interviewed these guys, and I said I wanted you to come back to the new, improved Skip Barber.
So they were already gone.
They had left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were able to get them back.
Yeah.
Which also shows a passion for the company itself and what it at one time stood for.
Sure. And we were lucky in a way. We had a pool of a few hundred people that we could go and interview who have experience doing what we're doing, but wanted to make sure that they fit into our system.
All right. So now I'm a new person coming into the business, right? And you had talked about being able to trust them. So obviously they come in, and some people are going to have some type of experience, some not, but none with the way you operate in your organization.
Sure.
So talk to me about what you do to elevate them.
Fire them. If I don't trust them, they're out. No, I'm kidding.
No, but what do you do to elevate them to get it to that point to where you can trust them?
It's all about.
Believe me, I'm all for firing people.
No, it's all about. And I'm a big advocate of practice what you preach. If you see me out there, I'm from cleaning the toilet bowls to driving the tractor trailer to making business decisions with OEMs of the world. I'm there.
Yeah.
And I feel that if you just follow my lead, and if you're on board, we're going to get along great. If you're not on board, it's okay. You can do this somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's important. You can't row anywhere if you got people rowing in a bunch of different directions.
Absolutely.
You can just kind of go in circles.
Sure.
Awesome. So do you think it's easier or harder now? So you've been an entrepreneur now for, was it 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is it easier or harder now for a person starting out to do this? Not necessarily your industry, anything in business.
So I actually
I love asking this question.
Again, going back to when I was 13 years old and working with my brother in the pool business, and I ended up buying the pool business from him, and so I was in the pool service business.
Did you have to turn around the pool business?
No, my brother gave me. It was making It was making a nice coin when I took it over, and then I ended up selling it when I got into the police department because you couldn't have a business.
Okay.
For 2 years probation, you weren't allowed to have a business.
Oh wow.
You can't go to school. You can't have a business.
Okay.
I personally think it was much easier back in the day.
Okay.
By far. You're talking 1985, 86, 87.
You're the second person in a row that has given me the opposite answer of what I've been getting up to this point, but I find that interesting. Keep going with this.
So back then it was because you don't know any better. You don't understand the risk that you're going through. You're a kid. You're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. What do you know?
Yeah.
Now it's harder.
It's like putting. You don't get the yips until later in life.
Exactly.
When you start realizing, this putt means something.
So now here I am. I'm 50 years old.
Yeah.
I have 13-year-old, a 15-year-old. I have a few houses. I risk.
Yeah.
It's much better. It's much harder now.
Yes.
And that's from a personal standpoint. In the business world, I mean, again, we're in a more or less an economy-driven field, right? This is a very expensive thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes, there's always going to be kids out there that want to go racing, but usually they go racing with somebody else's money.
Yeah.
So they'll always be there. But one thing that we've tried to focus on is broadening the horizon of the business. We want to make it so that it's something that is more of an educational tool. Like I said to you before, when you turn 16, generally from your 16 to you die, you drive. And how much education do you get?
Right.
And professional education in something that you do nearly every day.
Yeah.
Virtually none. So we're trying to build that from within the insurance companies. The Haggerty Driving Academy is something that's dear to my heart that we've created along with the Haggerty Collector Car Insurance Company, where we teach people how to drive standard shift. We teach people car control.
Do they make those cars anymore?
Not really.
That's what I learned on. So
Yeah.
I could, yeah.
Not really. They
Yeah.
don't. They do, but not really here.
Yeah.
You go in Europe.
Right.
You go to rent a car in the UK.
You ride a nice sports car.
Yeah. Well, you go rent a car in the UK. It's standard shift, and you're driving on the wrong side.
Yeah.
That's a rude awakening.
Yeah. That would be tougher.
Yeah.
If the steering wheel's on the wrong side, are the pedals reversed?
No.
Okay. That would be an issue.
Yeah. No, but the roads are. That's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah. I have to do that down in the Caribbean. Drive on the wrong. Every now and then, when I'm taking a left or a right, I forget to look the correct way. I think that's the bigger challenge.
Yeah. A quick story. We're in the UK and we're going to a racetrack, and we were doing a track day with a nice large race car company over there. And my brother and I in the car, and two of our guys are in the back seat. And I'm driving, and we're driving on the left-hand side, and out of nowhere, obviously someone's coming the other way, a truck, and I jump, my brother jumps, but we're in the where we're supposed to be. We're just not used to the fact that now we're thinking this guy's on the wrong road. So we jump out of our shorts, and I'm like, holy shit, we're dying. And we're like, oh, I just passed this, no big deal. So it's a little odd.
Yeah, it is. It takes some adjusting. So I have a theory on the easier or harder. And I thought of this yesterday after my interview when the other guy said it's harder today. Because I've always thought it's easier today. All right? But I come from a place where you and we've already got all this experience. So I look at it and be like, well, knowing what I know now, if I had all these tools available to me that business leaders have today, first off, I don't know something, I can Google it. Sure. I have the ability to get my message out very cheaply with social media and everything like that, right? All the advantages that it takes to drive revenue. But if you don't know these things, and you're not familiar with what works and what doesn't, and recognize that you don't have that experience, you could come into this and be overwhelmed by everything.
Agreed.
And I think that does. So I look at it as only easier, really, just because of the experience I've already gotten, right? But in reality, if I had to start today, it probably would be harder.
Yeah, I think the business owner today has a different skill set.
Yeah,
it's not just the hard work; it's the knowledge of how to get the message out there, like you said.
Yeah.
It just it takes time to understand it, or you got to have somebody that you can trust to help you understand it.
Where do you think the biggest challenge? If I came to you and I said, Anthony, my business is here, right? I got to take it to the next level, and you're sitting there telling me, advising me, all right, here's how you do it. These are the challenges that you're going to face. What do you think the biggest challenges a business leader faces today in getting their business to the next level?
Resources.
Okay. How do you mean by that?
Resources, monetarily, infrastructurally.
Yeah.
You got to have the right people around you.
Yeah.
You got to be able to. It's not. Again, it's not a single-sided thing anymore. You have to have. You got to hit things from multiple sides and multiple angles. Mm. And I think if you direct your path and you understand where you're going, you got to do the research on how you're going to get there and who you're going to get there with.
Yeah,
it's super important.
Where do you do your research? Where do you get your information to help you?
talking to people, people I trust, people I look up to, people I understand that have had success in what they're doing, and a lot of listening.
Are there people today that you kind of rely on, that you bounce things off of outside of your business? Ideas, concepts?
Oh, all the time. Anybody I can, sitting down with, Roger Penske.
Yeah.
And just listening to him and how he goes about his business and some of the points that he brings up that he wants from us.
Yeah.
We take them in, and we understand them. And any other, whether it's a track owner like Skip Barber himself, the man, to anybody we do business with every day who you feel is trustworthy, has nice morals, and understands that in his own eyes he's successful, and you see him from the outside looking in, and you feel the same way that he looks at himself, then those are the guys you listen to.
So I have a funny story with Mr. Penske. So we have that's a mutual client, actually. They're clients of ours as well with J&L. This is way back, not too far back for him, but far back for us. We were pulling data out of one or two of his stores to be able to do our analytics and then run a campaign. Our rep at the time got a call at 2 a.m. So what I love about Mr. Penske and everything you hear about him is his attention to detail, and it's amazing how a person that high up and who has accomplished so much in life still is so present, like we've discussed, and involved, right?
Sure.
We got a call from Mr. Penske himself saying, "What are you guys doing? My finance team can't access our information, and I've got a big board meeting in New York or wherever it was."
Wow.
And we were like, "All right, we'll shut that down."
Yeah, that could be a problem.
But I was amazed by it, the fact that we got the call from him.
Sure.
And just that he was involved in that situation and so on. But the stories of him and his attention to detail go on a long time. So do you have any first off, how is he a client with you guys? What do you guys, how do you work with?
We actually started running at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this year.
Yep.
So we had the first graduating class of any students of any school since 1909 at the Speedway back in, I think it was August or September. During the Brickyard 400, we got a meeting with Mr. Penske.
So you met with him?
Yeah,
okay,
directly.
great.
And obviously he's been doing this for a long time, and we're looking to build our business. And
he does okay in racing.
Yeah, I think so. So we sat down with him and see if there was any common ground, if there's anything that we could do for him. Hopefully, he knew the brand, he understands it well. He wants to send his grandsons to our school, and in the mix, unbeknownst to us, he was negotiating with the Speedway to buy it. So now
that just happened.
It just happened, and it was all around the same time that we had just started there. So we did a few weeks out at Indy. And now we have a proposal to run there 30 times next year, and it kind of got put on hold, and we didn't understand why. It's because now Mr. Penske has to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So we've heard some good stories about his work ethic.
Yeah.
Which impresses me because that's what I feel that our company's all about. And
doesn't it amaze you that a person with so many different business interests is involved in so many meetings and things such as this?
Amazing.
So we walked into their headquarters up in Detroit, and it's just impressive because first off, there's no sign on the building. Yeah, you'd never know. I don't know where you guys met him. You met him in Indy?
At Indy, at the raceway.
Yeah, up in Detroit, and there's no markings on the building. You'd never know. And then you walk in, and it's just trophy after trophy.
Oh my God.
It's impressive.
It is very, very impressive.
And the accomplishment. So, and of course the award he won from the president.
Sure.
That the lifetime achievement.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, all right. So, what final thoughts do you? You're in a room full of business leaders. All right, and you're up there. You've been asked to come motivate these people on how to take their business to the next level. What do you say to them?
Well, I was probably the one in the crowd listening. It's
very humble.
A continuing education, right? Every day, everything we do. Just keep focused. That's the most important thing to me is keeping focused. There's going to be, obviously there's going to be some good days, and there's going to be those days where you're just like, man, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And if you just stay focused, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And you got to have the drive.
You got to have the drive. You got to get up every morning and want to win at something.
Where do you think business leaders waste their time? If they're sitting there trying to grow, and it's like, if you were just fly on the wall, a couple businesses who are plateaued, they're struggling, and you sit there watching them talk about how they're going to improve, what are some of the things that stand out, and you're like, that's a waste of time, buddy?
I say to my guys, don't rest on your laurels. If you think you want a good contract, you better start the next day going after the next big contract.
Yeah.
And then the next one, and then the next one. Don't ever, ever, ever rest on your laurels. If you think you got it all buttoned up for the next 2 years, start for 3 and 4.
That's outstanding advice.
Without a doubt.
Because real world situations always kick in, and this even goes for employees, right? You always have to recruit. And the reason you're always recruiting is because no matter how good your culture is, you're going to have some turnover, and sometimes the turnover is unexpected turnover, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So you always expect low-performing people to turn over. And every business has a plan for that, and quite honestly, probably most want that.
Sure.
It's the unexpected. And so what you're just saying, you win this big contract, if you're not going after year 3 and 4 or the next big contract, you don't know. Just because you signed it, that doesn't mean it's going to fulfill the length of it. That doesn't mean, who knows what happens in that time frame.
Absolutely.
You never know.
I say it every day to the guys. We did a great job today.
Yeah.
Let's do a better job tomorrow.
That's right.
And let's go out for the next day.
Outstanding.
Every day.
Great interview. Awesome.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Anthony, awesome job. So hopefully you guys are sitting out there in the MCC Nation, and you got a lot of good gold nuggets out here. I thought it was an incredible story, but Anthony has done an incredible job. It is not, for those of you who are plateaued or struggling and need to turn it around, and or are finding ways to, how do I just elevate? How do I get off this? I'm stuck, right? You got to pay attention to people that have taken things that are very difficult to do, what might seem like the impossible. I can promise you, the management prior at Skip Barber Racing thought it was impossible at the end, and immediately come in and get results, not just results, but fast. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to and recognize and creatively emulate some of those strategies. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
All right.